So even though the Lions played Thursday, there's still other Detroit teams that have played this week, as the Lions got their own solo recap for the Thanksgiving game as per trail tradition, where the Lions get their own video now. But of course, we still got some other Detroit sports to talk about, as for the first time this season, the Pistons and Red Wings both get their own video as well. And all Detroit sports don't get crammed into it for a whole weekend. And this will be the theme for at least next week as well, since next week the Lions play on Thursday night against Green Bay, and so the Wings and Pistons for the next 2 weeks get their own recap video. So of course, for Pistons and Red Wings side, the Detroit Sports Weekly Recap, let's see how they both fared the rest of the week after following the events of what happened on Thanksgiving with the Lions.
Detroit basketball!
So starting off, we have the Pistons this week in an up and down weekend. Yes, I finally found the Pistons chain again, so now the Pistons chain is now back in business. And if anyone's wondering, no, this is not a Chauncey Billups jersey. This is an Allen Iverson jersey. See, right there, because Allen Iverson did play for the Pistons at one point in 2009. Only man wearing the jersey because of Jahmyr Gibbs wearing an Allen Iverson Sixers jersey last week before the game against Indy. So paying tribute to Jahmyr Gibbs on that front too. Damn, so that's now 2 Detroit players that have all paid tribute in the last couple weeks, because you had Darius Smith wearing a Rasheed Wallace jersey, and then you had Jahmyr Gibbs wearing the Allen Iverson Sixers jersey. But I mean, it still counts as it because Irvinson did play for the 3-1-3 at one point. But anyway, to the Pistons this week, it was an up and down week. The week started with the Pistons getting a massive last-second win over the Toronto Raptors at home. Mainly with Jaden Ivey getting a last-second 2-point bucket just as the buzzer went. Got a 2-point buzzer beater to beat the Raptors in a very hard game. The Raptors always play Detroit tough. And the Pistons followed that momentum up by getting completely blown out by Memphis the following week. As it turns out, John Morant doesn't like to play with guns. He also likes to play with basketballs as well. Damn, who could have thought that? Man, John Morant can definitely be something special this week. Just got to keep him away from guns. That's all. But the Pistons team, though, they have shown already that they do know how to finish games. They just got to be more consistent with it. But the Pistons bounced back from that blowout loss to Memphis by completely blowing out the Indiana Pacers. Holy shit, the Pistons can actually dominate teams as well. The Pistons are really channeling their inner Detroit Lions. I mean, it has worked for the Lions when they've won 10 games in a row, so maybe it can work for the Pistons in the future. Just need some more talent. As the Pistons are starting to get gritty too. Sadly, the grit only takes you so far. And then the Pistons week wrapped up with them having a second half collapse against the Philadelphia 76ers. A game where the Pistons at the end of the first half scratching clawed to get back in, and then completely got smoked the whole second half. Pretty rough game in the second half against the Sixers, especially with the Sixers struggling to be one of the worst teams in the league. So now the Pistons fall to 9-13, and they now sit 10th in the Eastern Conference, which would still be enough to be in for that stupid fucking play-in tournament. But honestly, I'd rather not be in that play-in tournament. I'd rather be in the top 6. See how the Pistons, even despite some positives this week, they still have their growing pains. Still a young team that's still trying to figure things out. It's progress. Just gotta keep trusting the process. Still better than where they were a year ago. Because this is when the Pistons were right the ass end of that 28-game losing streak. Because remember, at this point a year ago, the Pistons only had 2 wins this year. Now they have 9 wins this year. A 7-win improvement. I mean, it's something. Just sometimes you just wish it's a little bit more. But hey, progress is progress, I guess. Now on to the Red Wings, as the Wings week started off pretty good. As they started off with a big win against the Islanders in Long Island, beating the Islanders 4-2. Just a great win there, and also sweeping the season series against the Islanders. Holy shit, the Wings actually swept somebody that wasn't Nashville or a Western Conference team? Color me shocked there. That's something new to sweep an Eastern Conference team in a season series, so hey, I guess that's something, Man, if only this Wings team was a little more consistent. And the Wings followed that up with an overtime win over the Calgary Flames. As a game that was pretty much a defensive battle until an overtime Lucas Raymond, showing that Raymond is him and getting the game winner to win that game 2-1. And the Wings followed that up by completely imploding the last 2 games of the week. Mainly imploding against New Jersey, where the big downfall for the game against New Jersey was the Wings penalty kill still being one of the worst in the league and being very atrocious. As in the game against New Jersey, the Wings lost mainly because the Devils got 3 goals on the power play. As the Wings penalty kill is that bad, which led to the Wings falling 5-4 on Black Friday to the Devils. Just a pretty rough game against New Jersey, especially when the special teams is what cost you to win there. And then, of course, Sunday, they lose to Vancouver in overtime, 5-4. Mainly because of Jake DeBrusk getting the hat trick to push the Canucks past the Wings. They still got a point against the Canucks, but it should have at least been 2, especially considering the Wings had a lead in the third period and then completely blew it. Because the Wings got up 4-3 early in the third period, and then Vancouver was able to tie it late, and then Vancouver gets the game winner in overtime. Just the Wings had a chance to win, but in the end, the Wings just couldn't finish the deal against Vancouver, and Vancouver showing why they're a pretty strong team. So it's just the Wings lacking a lot of consistency, but they're getting close to being back to 500 as they're now at 10-11 and a couple overtime losses. But this Wings team is just very fucking inconsistent. But of course, since the Wings are around 500 and they're not on a massive losing streak, this means Derek Lalonde ain't getting fired anytime soon. So really the Wings loyalty is really being pushed with Steve Yzerman so far. But it doesn't really help when Chris Zillage is meddling in Steve Yzerman's job and telling Steve Yzerman who he can and can't sign, instead of just letting Stevie do his fucking job. And yes, that whole thing is true. It was confirmed. It was confirmed by Darren McCarty on Woodward Sports. Since, McCarty is Steve Yzerman's boy from back in the day. This inconsistency, this is what Chris Ilitch meddling in day-to-day affairs does to a team. Makes them look inconsistent as all hell, and makes them fucking mediocre as all hell. And that's really being mediocre is the worst fate to have as a team. And really, what can the Wings do in this situation? They're not really good enough to be a contender for the Cup, but at the same time, they're not bad enough to just go out and lose and tank and get a top draft pick, where the Wings will probably get fucked in the lottery again, because it's Detroit versus everybody. Because besides, the Wings already tried tanking in 2020. Remember what happened there? The Wings got fucking shafted in the lottery. Although it wasn't really a massive death blow because Steve Yzerman knows how to draft talent. And he knows how to trade well. Just the free agent signings have been Steve Yzerman's Achilles heel. Especially when he repeats some of the same mistakes Ken Holland makes by signing a bunch of fucking aging bums to keep the young guys from making the roster, so we can't see what we truly have in some of our young prospects. Part of that is also probably Chris Ilitch meddling in day-to-day affairs, so it's really hard to pinpoint Steve Yzerman on the free agents because I don't know where Chris Ilitch starts and where he fucking finishes and let Steve Yzerman do his damn job. So really hard on that front. Honestly, Chris Ilitch honestly needs to be locked in a fucking room with Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, and Sheila Ford Hamp. And have all 3 of them shoot Chris Ilitch out and show him how to run a fucking team right. I don't know. Maybe have Dan Campbell bite off one of Chris Ilitch's kneecaps. Maybe that'll teach Chris Ilitch to stop fucking in day-to-day affairs and let the hockey people he fucking hired do their goddamn job. But I have my doubts there. Just... maybe someday Chris Ilitch will grow a fucking heart and get his head out of his ass, but I have my doubts. But just Red Wings hockey nowadays. Not like what it used to be back in the day. Even though Steve Yzerman's doing his absolute best to fucking fix the mess, just Chris Ilitch's bullshit will keep holding this team back. So, And also the question is, when will Steve Yzerman fire Lalonde? Probably not till mid-season. if the Wings continue to struggle. We'll find out. Either mid-season or maybe the end of the year. Very hard to say what will happen. You know, but when it does happen, you know, we'll have to see who Steve Eisman will bring in possibly to fill the void. Probably Joe Quenneville based on some rumors. Once they get everything all there front ready to go. Because remember, Joe Quenneville has to get approval by the NHL to coach again. After that whole fucking Chicago covered that whole sexual abuse thing up for a decade. Since that was under Joe Quenneville's leadership back in Chicago back then. But yeah, just a pretty rough week for Wayne's hockey. Just inconsistent, the Pistons growing pain. But hey, at least the Lions won on Thanksgiving, so that cushions the blow there. So yeah, of course, next week, Waynes and Pistons get their own recap video along with the Lions for the Thursday night game. And also, there is no hate week video for the Packers. I am not doing 2 for the Packers this year. I'm only doing 1. I already did 1 and that's it. So for the first time this season, there will be no hate week video. I'm going to take a week off to rest up and refocus and get ready and save everything up for Buffalo the week after. But anyway, that wraps it up here. See y'all later. Now on to the Packers next week while the Waynes and Pistons. Can the Waynes and Pistons bounce back? Tune in next week to find out.